Huh? That's already 8:40. If you look right where you put right behind where you put the guitar, there's on the lowest shelf, lying flat, this swirl like this. Every Schlenger. This you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
It's the sefer that Shlomo Katz put up last year in English. It's been translated to Hebrew. Okay.
It looks more official in Hebrew.
Yeah, I've been teaching from it every day.
Funny how the difference. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how when it's in Hebrew it looks
more like
authentic.
A sefer, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
true. Okay. Oh, and it's both of them, yeah?
Huh?
The two volumes.
This is the 2 volumes in one. Yeah.
Where we're studying.
Let's go to page 75. So first I'm just going to summarize a little bit on what I learned from Reb Steinsaltz on the Parsha. Reb Steinsaltz starts off by relating to the question. The person says, Eile Toldot Noach, right? Noach is tzaddik. Noach was a complete tzaddik. Ish tzaddik tamim b'dorotav, in his generations, right? So the question is asked, why does it say what's the meaning of b'dorotav? Is that praising Noach, or is that actually not praise? Why? Because some say, and Rashi says this, Yesh dorshim oto mishevach, v'yesh dorshim oto lignai. There are those who interpret it positively, there are those who interpret it negatively. In other words, in what way? In the sense that they say if he would have lived in Avram's time, he would have been an even bigger tzaddik, right? Like he was living in a completely corrupt generation, and despite the fact that he was living in the midst of such corruption, he still managed to be a tzaddik, right? And had he lived in the company of Avraham Avinu, he would have reached even higher heights. The other interpretation is that compared to his generation, he was a tzaddik, but had he lived in Avraham Avinu's time, he wouldn't be considered to be such a big tzaddik. So the question that Reb Sholom raises, which is apparently a well-known question, is why do you want to interpret in a negative way? And what's bothering you? Why are there opinions that say that the word B'dorotav is suggesting that it's only in comparison to his generation that he was a tzaddik, and when you can interpret it positively and say that, wow, he was a tzaddik in his generation, and had he lived in Abraham's time, he would have been even a greater tzaddik. So why do you want to do that? So and the fact is that Noach was saved mankind, right? So he wasn't just stam a little tzaddik, right? So the thing is that so Reb Sholom goes into a whole thing about bedidut. I don't know the best English word for bedidut, but bedidut is basically
Solitude.
That's a good word. Solitude, isolation, solitude, and so on, right? And he says that, like we've mentioned many times that Reb Nachman says that every story in the Torah is about us. Right? Okay, so what's this aspect of Noach that relates to us? Okay, so this union of solitude. The fact is that if you want to be a tzaddik, right, you're going to have to be ready to deal with solitude, because in general, human society is such. I'm sure that you've experienced more than once in your history. When you went on your journey of becoming religious, the members of your family and your community weren't so crazy about it, right? Like people don't like when somebody starts changing. Even if you're in a religious community, and you start taking on like more strict practices or like let's say everybody's davening shachris and finishes at 8:45, and then there's this one guy that takes like extra long, right? Or like you daven a long Shemoneh Esrei, right? So good, so you happen to be in a community that appreciates it. You understand? But they don't care. But nobody makes you feel bad about it, right? By the way, I've been davening at an earlier minyan now because I teach in the Smicha program at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
We have Kanahara 13 students.
That's
amazing. We're amazed ourselves, because we were hoping that if we would have 8, it would be great,
Oh, Hashem. You should only go from strength to strength.
Amen. Anyway, so now, so going into this solitude of being a righteous person has its dangers, right? And so we have 2 characters in this week's parsha. No, one in this week's parsha and one in Lech Lecha, right? In Vayera, you have Noach and you have Lot, right? Both of them were righteous people, and both of them, their lives end up tragic. Noach comes out of the ark, he plants a vineyard, he gets drunk, and he gets raped by one of his sons, right? Lot, after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, also gets drunk, right? Over there it's a little bit different. His daughters make him drunk and to conceive children from him, right? So going on this kind of a journey of solitude, like to be a righteous person and so on, it has its dangers. We'll see soon more about that. Okay. So basically, that sort of explains why there are those who who interpret b'dorotav, that he was a tzaddik in his generation, they interpret it as not being so bad. Not, in other words, it's not such a great compliment. Now, Franzels goes on to talk about that the same thing happened with the Nevi'im. They were also like pretty much almost ostracized. Whether the Navi was a Navi coming from a simple background or whether it was like someone like Yeshayahu, who was a nephew of the king in his time. Right? People don't like to hear somebody telling everybody, hey, everybody better do tshuva, or this is going to happen, and so on, right? So, going into becoming a tzaddik is like going on a journey of relating to life differently from the way everybody else in your surroundings relates to it. Right? So therefore, there's this this aspect of solitude that the tzaddik has to deal with. Now, in Yiddish, I'm sure you've heard the expression, even though we grew up in this foreign country where they don't speak so much Yiddish, I mean, except for the visitors who would come to get some glasses there, right? But I don't know if you ever heard Yiddish in your shul. I'm sure you probably did from the elderly people, maybe. In any case, there's an expression in Yiddish, a tzaddik in pelts. You know that expression?
Yeah, I know for you.
A tzaddik in a fur coat, right? So he's cold, right? So he has two ways of making himself warm. He can either turn on the oven, or he makes himself a fur coat. A pelts, I actually saw them because the elder Hasidim who came from Russia to Montreal, like they had these kinds of coats. The fur is actually on the inside. It's like a wool coat with a fur lining, you know. So the tzaddik in pelts is basically taking care of himself, right? If you turn on the oven, other people also will get warm. But if you're just wearing a fur coat, so you're warm and everybody else is freezing, right? So there's one attitude of there's terrible things happening all around us, right? And we got to do something to protect ourselves, right? So you make a community, you build walls around the community, right? Everybody puts on a strimal so that you know who's part of your community. Like, you know, a strimal that has something different about it, or a hat that has something different about it. Right? There are Satmar hats, there are square hats, there are Belzer hats, there are Vishnitzer hats. They're all different. And there's Chabad hats, and there's the Haredi hats, and the Litvish hats. Each one is like another unit, right? Okay, so you build a community, you adopt a uniform, you adopt a code of behavior, etc., and that sort of acts as a protection from outside forces, right? And then on the individual level, the person who's journeying to be a tzaddik also builds certain walls around themselves. Like, you know, he stops talking to as frequently as he used to. He doesn't go to certain places, whatever it may be. But that all these things are basically the concept of an arc.
So the ark is the concept of tzaddik in pelts.
So Avram Avinu also has to have some kind of a home, right? But his home is open on all four sides.
His tent.
His tent, right? So Noach is the tzaddik in Pelz. He took care just of himself. Reb Sholom says it's the same thing like a group of holy people that they don't let anybody in. They're just concerned about their own community.
Was he allowed to take care of anyone else? Was he allowed to have other people on the
let's put it this way. Why did he get drunk after he came out of the ark? He came out of the ark and he saw that Mamishi didn't accomplish anything. He didn't manage to save anybody. Right? He didn't manage to save anybody.
I didn't think he was supposed to.
He spent 120 years building the ark.
Didn't Hashem want to destroy the world? Wasn't that the point?
Yeah, but what did Hashem want of Noach besides building the ark? The Medrash says, from the Pshat and the Chumash, from the time that Hashem told him to build the ark till the flood came, was 120 years.
Okay? A lifetime.
So, our lifetime, right? But the Noach lives to 900 something, whatever, right? Okay. So, but it's still more than 10% of his life. Maybe 15% of his lifetime, right? Over 120 years, schools were organizing field trips to go and see this crazy guy who's building an ark. And school kids would come and they'd say, "Hey, old man, what are you doing?" Right? "Oh, I'm building an ark." "Why are you building an ark?" "Because God said that the world is coming to an end." And everybody's ha, 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 right? So that itself took tremendous courage on his part, right? But conceivably, did it really have to take 120 years to build an ark? I don't know. Let's say but over 120 years, he didn't manage to convince anybody, right? And the fact is that the fact that it took so long is it's like Hashem is sort of like saying, you have like you have a certain amount of time to try to stop the flood from happening. Okay? And you know already that Noach is very much faulted because we don't find him davening for his generation. We don't see him doing anything like that, right? And the Arizal says that Moshe Rabbeinu was a Gilgul of Noach in a certain extent, and we know that he was the tikkun for Noach because when Hashem said he's going to destroy the people, wipe out the people, and make a whole new generation from Moshe Rabbeinu after they made the golden calf, Moshe Rabbeinu says, either you forgive the people or wipe my name out from the Torah. And the word mecheni is the letters of Noach, right? So
meaning that Moshe Rabbeinu was in a similar situation as Noach, and he took a different path.
Right. So Franzals ends up saying that he speaks about 3 levels of tzaddik. Now, another aspect that he also speaks about is, before we get to the 3 levels of tzaddik, is the question of, is your davening and learning, is it just a taiva? Is it just like a personal intense desire? In other words, some people really love davening, right? They just get pleasure. They love to daven. Some people, mamish, love to learn. Okay? And he tells a story that there was this kibbutznik that he knew, a yid who worked in the barn all day long. And he wasn't a young man. And at the end of the day, when he finished his work, he'd go home, he'd clean up, he'd bathe, and then he would sit down and learn 8-9 hours of Gemara. But without a yarmulke, without a mezuzah on his door, he just loved learning Gemara.
Amazing.
In South Africa, there were a lot of the Jewish community there was pretty much started by Litvish Yidden, who came from the Litvish yeshivas. And some of them were so into learning Gemara, and they would smoke on Shabbos while they were learning, because there was a whole period when people thought that when they were smoking a cigarette that their mind was sharper. Okay? So they were so into learning that it was just such a pleasure. They thought that there's nothing wrong, even though they knew, but they would say this, I'm smoking so that I could learn better, so that I can get a deeper chiddush.
But we do that in general. People justify all kinds of things.
That's the point. Understand that, in other words, you're doing, even if you're doing, never mind justifying negative things, but even if you're doing good things, right, but you're not doing them the way it should be done, you also justify that, right? So, people go to shul, and then, when it's time for the kiddush, it's like they're the same. If the kiddush would have been before davening, they would behave the same as if the kiddush being after davening, right? So where's the change? Where's so why did you daven? What did you achieve? Now, none of this is being said in a judgmental way to judge anybody, and that's not the point. The point is for our own selves to sort of think about, okay, so you're doing something good, you're shtickle tzaddik, you're shtickle this, you're shtickle that, but what kind of tzaddik are you? Like how far are you taking it? So then it speaks about three levels of tzaddik. So there's Noach, Avraham Avinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay? So Noach is the tzaddik in Pels. He's just concerned about himself. Avraham Avinu is very involved in the world, right? Like we're going to read in next week's parsha, that when he started on his journey, they take along the people that they made in Haran. Rashi says, what do you mean, the people that they made? What did they make? And the Medrash tells us that Avraham Avinu was Megayer the men, Sarah was Megayer the women, and they made people. They made people. They were out there in the world and so on. Hashem says to Avraham Avinu is going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. He says, no, let me try to save them, right? He wants to make a change, a difference in the world. Moshe Rabbeinu is in a certain sense on an even higher level, where Hashem wants to destroy the people, and with justification. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, and Hashem offers Moshe Rabbeinu, I will make from you a whole new generation of Jews, right? Moshe Rabbeinu says, I don't want to have any part of that. Erase my name, right? In other words, he not only does he want to save everybody, but he's saying that if he can't save them, he doesn't want to be part of the story. So the reality is that in every generation there's some kind of a flood. Not so long ago there was a flood of fire. Okay. There's floods of money. You
mean the Holocaust?
Yeah. Okay. So even though God is, when Hashem promised that he was no longer going to bring any flood, so the promise was that he wasn't going to bring a deluge of water. But there are other floods. And you got to take care of that? No. I thought you had your...
I'm just looking at my fingers.
Oh, there are other floods. Like the Rebbe speaks about in one of the early sikhs. He speaks about it's based on a minor from the Alter Rebbe.
Now they call him but no good day. No reason to.
One of the early sikhs from the Rebbe, based also on teachings from the Alter Rebbe. the Mei Hamabul, the turbulent waters of the flood, right, is also understood to be the Daigas Aparnosa, the worries that we have about making a living. And those are turbulent waters, right? It really shakes us up, right? So what's the solution? Go ahead.
No,
What's the solution? The solution is Bo El HaTeva. Come into the ark. So you remember what the Baal Shem Tov taught, that the word Teva also means word.
Mm-hmm.
Go into the word of your prayer. Enter into the words of your prayer. Okay. So much for so Rav Stanzos concludes that Parshas Bereshis ends with a failure, right? And the story of Noach also ends with a failure. That he becomes drunk and so on.
But he fulfilled his mission.
Yeah, but he didn't. We have to wait another 10 generations before Abraham Avinu comes along and really starts making a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Why does it matter?
Why? Because why didn't it make a difference right away, even right after the flood? It matters. It's a long period of time in history where mankind once again became pretty corrupt. Okay. He also mentions that there are people that have the opinion. I was once by a certain Hasidic group, and I wanted to get permission to. I asked them, "Is your music available on tape?" And they said no. I said, "Why not? You've got such nice, people would really love it." They said, "We only care. We're not interested in spreading out to the world. We're not interested in the rest of the world out there knowing what we're doing. If anybody wants to come in, they can come in, but they're not interested in PR." And in fact, in their yeshivas, it's very rare that somebody who didn't grow up in the community should actually get accepted into their yeshivas. Their whole work is to protect their group. Okay. So in general, there are people that say, like before you invite somebody for Shabbos and so on, you want to check out, do I want my kids to be exposed to such a person, right? So Noach is that kind of tzaddik. He's like closed in with his family, but nobody great comes from him afterwards. Avraham Avinu is out there running around doing achnasat orchim, and he has a son Yitzchak. Right? So that's an argument for saying, if you're doing your avodas Hashem sincerely, even though your children are being exposed to other things, right? If a yid is doing the achnasat orchim with sincerity and because he wants people to be connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom, so then his kids are going to be protected too. Okay?
Bezrat Hashem.
Bezrat Hashem. It's a low pashut.
No, for sure. And especially this is like the generation that we're in. Think back to a previous generation where Jews, for the most part, were within the Jewish community. They were at least living they were living a religious life where they were connected to Judaism in some way, even through the Yiddish language. Now when I have birthday students over, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Never know. So the exposure is different.
The exposure is different. The availability of the exposure is like it's never been before.
Yeah.
Kids can walk into yeshiva. See, when I was a kid in yeshiva, you couldn't bring any X-rated movies with you. You would have to bring a projector and a big reel-to-reel, right? Okay. So if you wanted to see anything that was X-rated, you had to go find the place in town where they showed such movies, and it was a whole thing not to get caught, and who's going to see me on the street in that neighborhood, because as soon as you were seen in those streets, like you were 15, 16 years old, like anybody that knew you they knew like, what are you doing here? And in all likelihood, by the time you got home, your parents already found out. Okay.
Instant messenger.
Right? Instant messenger. Today, a kid comes into a yeshiva with an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
How many gigabytes of memory are there? Huge amounts of gigabytes, right? You don't even have to download, actually, right?
Right.
And with your iPhone, you can see anything that's out there. Okay? So the Nisayon actually, so Reb Sholom says that the Baba Rebbe said that we're the generation of the real Hasidim of the Baal Shem Tov.
Mm-hmm.
Because back in Mezhebush, if somebody wanted to do an Avera, what could they already do? Where are they going to go? They're going to swipe an apple at the Makolet. What are they going to do? Right? They'll wait for everybody to go to sleep at night and dash across the street without a yarmulke. What else are they going to do? Right? So we're the generation that we have tests like nobody else had before. Page 75. So I hope Judy gets home soon because she's been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I didn't sleep all that much either because they came here first,
They came here. Because they gave birth in one of the hospitals here.
They live here. But they're saying, but they live in Kiryat Arba. I'm just saying they came to Judy for Judy to take care of her, for help with the birthing.
Right.
Anyway, so Judy said they got here around 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, or maybe a bit later. But Judy's been up since then working.
Your great grandfather. It's pretty amazing.
It hasn't hit me yet.
You can finally have some gray hair.
Yeah. Okay, Ana hitpalel bevakasha. Please pray. So this teaching is relating to the verse of Aseh Lecha Tevat Atzei Gofer. This is from Reb Shlomo and the Sefer Even Shlomo. Okay. Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Whatever that kind of wood is, I don't know. Hayim Adam Yachol Lomar LaHashem Ma Lasot. Can a human being tell God what to do? It's the biggest chutzpah. זה משוגע מצידי לחשוב שאני בשר ודם. It's craziness for me, a being of flesh and blood, to think that Omar LaHashem Ma Lasot, to even think that I'm going to tell God what to do. לכן, אם השם לא היה מגלה לנו את מושג התפילה, so therefore, if God wouldn't have revealed to us the concept of prayer, לא היינו יכולים להתפלל כלל. We wouldn't be able to pray at all. Right?
Sounds like the bracha of Asher Yotzer. We didn't make openings and closings. We couldn't exist at all.
Yeah. Okay. So if you would never know about davening, would you ever have imagined that you can daven for something? When did it happen that God, what was the first time that God answered someone's prayer? Enenu yodim. We don't know. Avraham v'Sara v'dai hitpalalu b'li sof l'zchok li'eled. Avraham and Sarah surely prayed without stop to merit having a child. L'mala mikol ma she'efshar ledamin, beyond what can be imagined. Aval ze afilu lo mafia b'Torah, but the Torah doesn't tell us about it. Atzal Yitzchak Avinu ne'emar b'mforash vayeter Yitzchak l'Hashem. By Yitzchak Avinu it says clearly that Yitzchak prayed to God. V'ilo atzal Avraham lo katuv shu yitpalel b'shvil Yitzchak, but by Avraham by Avraham, sorry, I lost the place. Yeah. V'ilo atzal Avraham lo katuv shu yitpalel b'shvil Yitzchak. By Abraham, it doesn't say that he prayed for Yitzchak. About Gewalt, kama hu yitpalel, but he mamish really prayed. לכן כשהגיעו המלאכים אל אברהם והודיעו לו שהשם שמע את תפילתו וייתן לו בן, so therefore when the malachim come and tell Avraham Avinu that Hashem heard his prayers and that he's going to be having a son, וגם הודיעו לו שגם שהם הולכים להחריב את סדום, and they also informed him that they're on their way to destroying Sodom. So what happened? Avraham Avinu chashav miyad, so Avraham Avinu thought right away, Hashem shemei tefillot, if Hashem listens to prayers, so then it's palel gam ba'avur Sodom, so then I'm going to pray for the people of Sodom also. So
You can finish whenever you want.
Huh?
You can finish whenever you want.
Well, let's read a bit more. Then when Ari comes back from the wedding, I got to be up with him for 1:15. So that's when the taxi's coming.
1:15. Okay. That's when you're going to sleep.
Huh?
I hope that's when you're going to sleep.
I hope so. Maybe even earlier. So he says like this. Noach l'umat zot lo kibel et ha'ot. Noach didn't get any sign that he should pray. כל עניינו של נוח היה לקבל הכל משמיים, בלי להתווכח. Noach was about receiving everything that's coming down from heaven without any arguments. Noach הסכים לקבל את כל מה שהשם שלח. Noach was agreeable to receive whatever God would send him. Okay. שימו לב לדבר עמוק מאוד. Now pay attention to something very deep. דמיינו שמישהו מתקשר אליי ואומר, שמע, בעוד שעה אני מתאבד. Imagine somebody calls me and says, listen, in 1 hour I'm committing suicide. אני רק רוצה להיפרד לשלום. But I just want to leave peacefully. האם פירוש הדבר שהאדם הזה באמת רוצה להתאבד? Does it mean that the person really wants to commit suicide? בוודאי שלא. הוא רק מבטא כמה הוא רוצה שיבוא להיות איתו. When somebody comes and says he's going to commit suicide, he's basically just letting me know how desperate he is for company. Right? כשהשם אמר לנוח, עשה לך תיבה, make for yourself an ark, ואני הנני מביא את המבול מים על הארץ לשחית כל בשר, I'm going to be bringing the flood of water to destroy everything. מה הוא רוצה באמת לומר לו? What does Hashem really want to say to Noach? בעומק, in the depth of it all, Hashem sorry.
Mitchanen.
Hashem mitchanen leNoach, and the depth of it is that Hashem is basically begging Noach, Ana al titein li lashchit et haolam. Please don't let me destroy the world. Hitpalel, aseh mashahu, bevakasha aseh mashahu. Please do something, pray. V'lachein hazohar hakadosh omer, so therefore the Holy Zohar says, Shekol kama shenoach haya kadosh v'hemin b'Hashem. No matter how holy Noach was and he believed in God, hu lo hemin maspik ba'atzmo. He was lacking faith in himself. hu lo hemin shehu b'madrega she'Hashem yivakesh mimeno litpalel. He didn't believe that he's on the level that, he didn't believe that God believes in him. He didn't think that he's just thought like, who me, So Rashi says that Noach was miktanei ha'emunah. Ma'amin ve'no ma'amin. So shop ma'amin, he believed and he didn't believe.
If he didn't believe, he wouldn't build the ark.
So Reb Sholom explains, he believed in God, but he didn't believe that God believes in him. Okay? And that's what the Zohar is saying over here. As much as Noach was holy and a believer, his faith in himself was not enough, was not enough. And he didn't believe that he's under Medrega to be asked to daven for the world not to be destroyed. I've tried already a couple of times today to take